Welcome everyone. This is Hclat here, making my CALLOUS commentary debut. Absolutely stoked to be bringing you this highlight match of round 3 of the CALLOUS Invitational losers bracket between Umbry and Undisputed. These are two very capable ADV players. Undisputed, you probably know already, is probably one of the greatest ADVers of all time and had an insane run in this tournament last year where he finished second place, beating me on the way there. Umbry also a very capable player, a bit newer to ADV, but she also had a great SPL in ADV and is still an ADV Cup. Those are both tours she beat me in this past year. So yeah, I'm super excited to bring you this match. It's an elimination match, losers bracket. So one of these people is coming home, and the other one may be beginning a crazy loser round. Let's get right into the match. Undisputed is Suicune user on the bottom. Umbry is Tuananda on top. We've got a Zapdos Metagross matchup, favoring Zapdos always, although we might see both switch out. Instant camera up for Undisputed. That's always an exciting one. Doing what it does. It's a great Zapdos answer. Can click a strong move right here. Umbry goes Swampert. On an Earthquake. That's a pretty good chunk. Nice prediction by Undisputed. Looking like, yeah, this looks like a boom Suicune offense for Undisputed, and hard to say at this point from Umbry. Could be a Spikes team, could be a mixed offense. It's a pretty defensive Swampert, I think. I think that would have done more if not. Umbry goes back to Zapdos on the Suicune. This type of team for Undisputed usually is trying to set up a Suicune. Ooh, Umbry gets him with the Zapdos Doug trio, and this is why people don't think camera up's good. It tries to check the Zapdos, just gets baton passed on, and now the Zapdos check is gone. Early lead for Umbry. Yeah, this is looking like a special balance to offense type thing for her. I know there is a team that exists with Starmie and Tyranitar in the back after these. This might be what it's carrying. Never mind, I'm wrong. But yeah, looking like a bit of a CM span. This is a quick game. Everyone's just booming for Undisputed. That's kind of what this team does. His Suicune is named Wincon, which is incredibly appropriate because, yeah, he's just trying to weaken all its checks and go to town. We see a little Calm Mind War. Probably Thunder or Thunderbolt from Jirachi. Suicune probably has Roar, so this interaction will probably determine the game. We can see if Suicune can get enough boost to power through the Zapdos, and Umbry may be able to force him to rest or get some sort of RNG with the Jirachi. There's 3 boosts now for Suicune. This is getting dangerous. I think should definitely tank the Zapdos and then some if it were to roar out. Though I think Umbry is in control here. I think it would need to be a Sleep Talk Zapdos. I mean, Suicune, excuse me. At this point to get through. Just between the Zapdos and the Doug Trio and the Jirachi. And yeah, I think that him not roaring the Jirachi out is an indication that it is Sleep Talk. So basically, yeah, this is the game right here. The Suicune's either going to sweep through everything or Umbry will be able to manage the threat. Let's see what the answer is with the Suicune asleep. She's just going to go for the Calm Mind War. I think this favors Jirachi usually. Yep, Sleep Talk as we expected. That's a good roll. That's what he wants. And actually, you know what? I don't think it's favors Jirachi anymore with just the HP advantage Suicune has. I think this probably will go Undisputed's way unless Umbry finds a crit in the next couple Thunderbolts. The next Surf is going to kill. Suicune, I think, will be able to tank and kill the Zapdos from here. The question is, can the Suicune rest loop the Zapdos? Because Zapdos plus Doug Trio should be enough. Never mind, Umbry has a Gengar. This is probably just going to explode right now. Yep. Bringing the Suicune down to 7%. I think it'll be revenged by Doug Trio or by Zapdos here. Umbry makes a tempo play, not locking herself onto Earthquake. I think that's a good move. Last year, I bet is going to be Snorlax for Undisputed. Could be Arrow. Could be Salamence. But never mind, it's Tyranitar. That's probably DD. And I think Umbry's got... she should be able to answer this between Swampert and Doug Trio. She goes Swampert. Hard HP Grass probably would have been needed. You'd also probably need a bulky T-Tar, which never really has HP grass, so I think this one's just wrapped up unless we see some crits. Earthquake will put him into Dugtrio range. He can't dance again, and yeah, looks like Umbry will be taking game 1. I don't think there's any Metagross set that can win from here. So yeah, 1-0 for Umbry. I think her matchup is pretty strong here. Undisputed leans pretty heavily on the Camel to stop the Zapdos, and Umbry happens to have the old Zap Dug combo that everybody's using these days, which just one-shots the Camel if you ever guess it right. So she was able to do that, which basically forced Undisputed to basically force his hand. He had to go for the Suicune like 1v6 sweep, and she had the backbone to stop it. So yeah, 1-0 Umbry. Let's see what happens game 2. Lead matchup with a Venusaur from Undisputed. Very cool. And Umbry has a Zapdos. This is pretty good for Venusaur unless the Zapdos has a substitute, which it does. That is bad news for Undisputed. He's probably clicking Sleep Powder turn 1, and that's just going to blank. And he probably has no way to break this sub. So Umbry's going to get a free baton pass. Undisputed will probably switch out, although he may have Roar. Actually, you know what? If he's leading this, I think there's a good chance he's Roar. Just because you got to respect that. Yep. Venusaur going second, meaning he's going to roar out the subbed up Jirachi, so crisis averted for him, and he should now... Never mind. Am I crazy? Yep, I'm crazy. Zapdos was faster turn 1, but he does make a good prediction to HP fire the Jirachi coming in. He now outspeeds it and gets Leech Seed down on substitute, which is really big. If he had missed that Leech Seed, he would have some problems. I guess he'd be able to break the sub with his HP fire, but this should force out the Jirachi, and he may be able to get a sleep, perhaps even this turn with the Venusaur. Instead, he's going to go to a Spiker, predicting, something other than that. Wow. I guess that's just a crazy play by Umbry to just thunder straight into the Venusaur. I definitely wouldn't have expected a Skarm to come in. I don't know if that's what she was doing, but that's a really good play either way. Gets the para, hits the thunder. Skarm is in range for the next one, and it's going to get out of the way, going to Tyranitar. Probably Pursuit if it's paired with Venusaur. Umbry's just going to keep clicking. Another Thunder, another para. Her Jirachi is kind of low enough that it's not going to be a sweeper threat, but it is making plenty of early game progress against this team. We'll see if she tries to fight the Tar or switch out. She goes to a Suicune. This is starting to look like this one team that everybody in this tour has been running with. The last 3 would be Breloom, Dugtrio, and Tyranitar, and it's been used like 6 times. I don't even know who made it first. I don't know who I should credit to, but Umbry is somebody who reuses a lot of teams, so I think it's a good chance that's what we got. We may have some Tyranoboa action from Undisputed. We'll see the roll here, but he subbed up on the switch to Suicune, and now is going to get a Focus Punch down on the Suicune. Never mind, it paralyzes. That is no good for Undisputed. Let's see if he goes back to that Venusaur and if Umbry predicts that, or if there's some other mid-ground play either of them can make. Venusaur does come in. Umbry Ice Beams it on the way in. Great play. Freezes it. Unlucky for Undisputed. This Suicune is going to be a massive problem if it doesn't wait, or if it doesn't thaw right now. Backmons for this team usually are something like Blissey, Rock Resist, Aerodactyl. Maybe a Magneton. Probably not a Gengar. But yeah, Venusaur just dies for free. Does literally nothing. I guess it Leech Seeded the Jirachi. Took some health there, but it does not stop the water, which is part of its job. Now Zapdos and Suicune are both looking like massive threats. Starmie for Undisputed. Trying to think of if this is a team I recognize. Starmie Venusaur aren't too common together, but there's no reason they shouldn't be. Starmie is really good against offensive teams. Venusaur is really good against stally teams. So they've got some nice sort of matchup division there. And we see Umbry just surfing on the Thunderbolt, which makes me think that she does indeed have Dugtrio. And she sees the Starmie as a big threat. So willing to trade Suicune and the Choice Band lock to get out of the way. Never mind, she switches now on Hydro Pump. Nice move from Undisputed. I think predicting the Dug on Thunderbolt. So yeah, great prediction by Undis. Good safe play by Umbry. If she had gotten Dugtrio there, trying to greet it, that would have been bad news for her. So good play from both. Jirachi goes down, but it was low enough it probably wasn't going to do that much anyway. Now we should see a Dug Revenge. Umbry has scouted out the Starmie. It should be dead here, unless there's some wonky EVs. Never mind, she goes to Zapdos, which should, if it's got no bulk, it'll take like 60-ish from an Ice Beam, I think. So it should be fine here unless there's some RNG. And I doubt there's a good switch to this thing. Undisputed goes Tyranitar. I think it'll die to 2 Thunderbolts. Never mind, that thing's got a lot of bulk. So this Zapdos needs to switch out because a Rock Slide would kill it, and it looks like it's going to tank the next Thunderbolt. She does get the Baton Pass here, which means that a Focus Punch on the switch isn't a possibility. So Dugtrio is in theory safe. She goes Suicune instead, which also is safe. Starmie can come in here pretty freely. That's what I expect to happen. Umbry could try to go Zapdos to double right now. That's exactly what she does. Does Undisputed call it out? Nope. Goes Skarmory. That's a great play from Umbry. Tyranitar won't be able to stop this Zapdos again. It'll die to 2 Thunderbolts, so either something new, perhaps a ground type, will come into pivot, or nope, Undisputed is going to let the Skarmory go without spiking a single time. That's usually very good for the non-Skarm user. Skarmory basically didn't do anything in this matchup. Now we have Aerodactyl for the Revenge, and this is actually looking like a really threatening Mon at this point in the game. Especially if it's the team that I'm expecting that it is from Umbry. The Rock Resist is down already, Jirachi. So Aero can really just go to town. There's probably nothing that takes... There are probably a couple of neutral things that will take a couple Rock Slides, but every time this Aero gets in on something like the Zapdos, it's going to make progress. So despite having no spikes, Undisputed does have a glimmer of hope here. Tyranitar coming in. Good chance this is Dragon Dance. Undisputed has to have a Rock Resist in the back, and yet we see Metagross come in. What does Umbry do? Rock Slides, taking the safe play. It would cover Aerodactyl trying to flinch through, and it would also get a heavy chunk on the Starmie. However, this Tar probably needs to switch out now to Breloom. So yes, exactly the team I thought it was. Let's see what happens here. It might die to this Mash. It does just straight up die to the Mash. Wow, yeah, suddenly I think Undisputed is in a strong spot. I'm trying to think of what Umbry could have done differently here. Yeah, Dugtrio is going to do a chunk here, but I don't think it's going to do enough. This looks like... so it seems like the game plan here from Umbry is going to be to get the Metagross low, probably go Zapdos on it to revenge it after it kills the Dugtrio, which it doesn't do. The Metagross is going to Agility first, which is an even bigger problem now. This Dugtrio should die to a Mash, probably to an Earthquake. We'll see see what happens. She goes to Zapdos on it. I think that's a pretty good move. This game actually just looks wrapped. That crit isn't going to help. I think Metagross is just going to win now. He can probably, let me think, could he boom and just win the game right now? I don't think so, but it's, yeah, looking wrapped up. Misses the Mash, that's no good. Umbry is still alive. I don't know how she's ever dealing with this Aerodactyl. She needs to find a way to get Tyranitar to like 2 boosts on this thing, which I don't think is going to be possible. Starmie is going to kill something here, unless he misses a Hydro on the Tyranitar. And once Tyranitar is low, then Aero can just lock into Double Edge. Actually, at this point, Aero can lock into Earthquake, and it won't kill the T-Tar, but it'll prevent it from dancing, which I think will just wrap up the game. Actually, am I crazy? So Dugtrio is going to kill this here, then Umbry will go Arrow and lock Earthquake. Never mind. Yeah, I think actually Umbry won if the Dug was faster, but it's a bulky Dug, which is pretty common on these mixed offenses. It loads a ton of bulk just to be able to kill Blissey and other stuff instead of worrying about something like Starmie. And I actually think Umbry won if the Dug was faster and killed Starmie. I think the Tyranitar would have just cleaned the game. So let's see if I think she needs to dodge 2 Hydras here. Does not dodge a single one, and Undisputed comes back to take game 2, despite getting no spikes on the with the Skarmory. The early Jirachi going down early proved fatal for Umbry, and Arrow Starmie were able to just carry the matchup. Those are both mons that are really good against offense, and we absolutely saw why here. All right, into game 3. This has been interesting so far. Umbry, I see her as a pretty narrow spike stall player. She doesn't branch out too much, except she has been this series, which is interesting. Undisputed is a bit more diverse, but I think they have really similar preferences in terms of like what their comfort zone is, even though he will branch out a bit more. But it seems like they're both playing everything they got. Is interesting. Game 3. Let's see what happens. We match up Metagross for Undisputed, and Umbry has a Suicune. This is sort of favor for Suicune. Suicune lead usually means very stally, but can be some sort of rain or special offense. She stays in on the... Okay, she roars. That's an interesting play. I think she thought that Undisputed would either choice band Boom or switch out. Ends up being a pretty good interaction for Undisputed. Yeah, getting a pretty good chunk and setting up Sand to cut off the leftovers. Although he should be forced out here by the Suicune. Snorlax are Undisputed, so it looks like a sort of Scarm beatdown or a mixed offense. That's probably a DD tar for him that he didn't want to be showing this early in the game. So Umbry definitely has an info advantage right here. I don't really know the head calc of that Psychic versus Suicune, if that revealed that it was offensive. I think this is going to be like a modest... That might be like a medium bulk Sleep Talk Suicune. Undisputed gets the Focus Punch on the Scarm. That's going to be a good chip. But Scarm will get a layer here. A common version of this lineup for Undisputed might have something like Claydol, Salamence, Suicune in the back. We'll see if that's what it is. This might be a Pursuit Metagross. And Umbry's team could be pretty much anything, but with those 2 mons, usually you're seeing like a Claydol team or a really aggressive Jolteon team. So I would bank on one of those things. And we do see Claydol coming out on hopefully HP Fire for her. It's an interesting switch. I mean, that seems a bit seems like she doesn't have a lot of resources to deal with this mixed Metagross here. She didn't want to take another Psychic with the Suicune. So she's going to risk a Boom or a Mash or all sorts of things with her Rock Resist. And yeah, Boom. So Claydol gone. That's probably fine. Undisputed shouldn't have spikes here, but if there's another Aerodactyl in the back, or perhaps this Tyranitar gets going, that could be a bad trade for Umbry. Scarm coming back out for Umbry. And yep, Undisputed going Salamence. I think that's going to be Suicune Claydol in the back for him, but it could still be a lot of things. This is almost certainly a Mixed Mens, because we would see a Magneton if not. Let's see what Umbry has to deal with it. She's going to stay in and eat the Fire Blast for a lot of damage. I'm thinking Umbry's going to have definitely a Blissey, and then 2 of like Tyranitar, Jirachi, Gengar, and Dugtrio for her last mons. That Toxic is no good for her. I'm curious what makes her... why she determined that trade was worth it. Maybe she was just afraid of getting like predicted on this turn here, where she goes to Blissey. And wow, Undisputed clicks break on the exact turn. Would that have killed the Skarmory? What percent was it at? It was at 18. I think the Skarm lived that, so that's just an insane read, and he also gets that crit. So that's really good for Undisputed. This Salamence might just win the game from here, especially if the last two are like Doug Trio and something that won't set up. A version of this team that's been going around a lot is, yep, exactly this. Is going to be an Ice Punch, Thunderbolt, substitute Rachi, and yeah, it's going to one-shot the Salamence if he stays in. And it also just, this has just been like the Pokemon of this tour. It's been killing everything. Yeah, this is, I think, a star team, Star Master team from Umbry. Should be last mon Gengar. She gets the crit freeze on the first Ice Punch, but luckily for Undisputed, there's a Lumberry. So no harm, no foul there. Umbry goes to Scarm, which is a pretty safe, a pretty low value sack at this point. Undisputed goes for the safe Earthquake instead of trying to DD up here. He probably will recognize the team at this point and know it's last Gengar. If he had DD'd, never mind, it's not Gengar, it's Dugtrio. Did he Rock Slide on this turn? Yes, he did. Nice play from Umbry to get the Dugtrio in. Dugtrio HP shouldn't be that important here, so that's just a straight up good play. She keeps the Scarm for the sack later. And if there's like a rest Suicune, it might be able to roar that out as well. So that's really good, and this Jirachi's looking pretty dangerous now. At the same time, though, Salamence and the Snorlax are both big problems for Umbry, and Salamence has basically a free hit on whatever it wants with this Earthquake lock. I'm thinking it's going to Dragon Claw here just to like mid-ground everything, but a hard Fire Blast wouldn't be a bad play either. Wouldn't surprise me if Umbry just lets the Dugtrio die here, or just go to Scarm, as she does. Undisputed goes for a Fire Blast, probably trying to hit Jirachi, but he won't complain about getting Scarm instead. We'll see what Umbry does here. Probably just has to go all in on the Jirachi game plan, which, yeah, we've seen it work before. This is a pretty RNG heavy interaction. If this thing dodges a Fire Blast early on and gets some Calm Minds up, it can be a big problem. We'll see if Undisputed wants to even play this game. He hits the first Fire Blast. Will Umbry Ice Punch or Calm Mind? She will Ice Punch, which will just remove the Salamence, leaving us in a 3-3, but Undisputed with a big health advantage, 2 unrevealed. Again, I'm thinking, never mind, it's a Heracross. This is, I think, an Altina team that he used last year. That's going to be Sub plus Salic Heracross, which I think is going to be unstoppable if it can hit his Mega Horns from here. Hits the first one. It can be revenged by Dugtrio now, but I think if that does happen, then Snorlax will be able to capitalize on the Aerial Ace lock and just win the game. So I think this is just wrapped up. I think Undisputed is going to be winning this one. Aerial Ace does kill. Probably see Snorlax come in, perhaps Claydol as well. Yep, Snorlax, which will probably just Body Slam now. I think Suicune will die to 2, so he doesn't even need to like risk here. Umbry does go to Suicune. Undisputed does Body Slam. No, that is a tanky Suicune. So if it is indeed last Claydol, this is actually dangerous. Snorlax won't be able to kill this thing without either cursing or booming. So if Umbry managed to guess the exact turn that the Snorlax booms and goes Dugtrio there, she could win the game. Does she get the rest through the paralysis? Yes, she does. So we have a guessing game on our hands. This is still a very Undisputed favor just because he can take a safe play several times before taking his risky option, and Umbry's at risk of losing the game every single turn. So it's not really a 50-50, even though both have 2 options. She goes for it right here. Does he boom? No, he does not. Undisputed plays it safe. That should be game over, assuming the Snorlax does have boom. Yeah, let's boom here, and Undisputed will win with his last mon. I think this is a really well played series by both players. We definitely saw each game, like each player use the mons that had a lot of like leverage and power in their matchups. Here it was the Salamence and the Heracross from Undisputed. Just like trading smartly, not taking risks. I'm not sure why he's not booming. He has to have it. Maybe he was scouting like rest talk protect or something, or maybe it's a roll and he doesn't want it. I'm not sure, but the boom should come here. Yep. And Undisputed takes a 2-1. Yep, Umbry is out of the tournament now after 2 losses to really good opponents, both in close series. So that's sad for her, but perhaps we're seeing the start of a crazy losers run from Undisputed. He does say that it'll squeak him in the back. I think I was saying Claydol, but I'm just crazy. But yeah, this is a good series. There was some definitely some RNG both games. Game 1, Umbry did a really good job of setting up and just sort of forcing Undisputed to just go for the Hail Mary win. Game 2, Undisputed used his anti-offense mods like Starmie and Aerodactyl to clean through this thing. In Game 3, I think it really came down to that Salamence versus Blissey turn where he fire blasted to stay in and then brick braked the Blissey switch, tongue twister. And he also happened to crit that turn, so I think that just really sealed it. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. I'll catch y'all later.